We're talking about moms today because this is Mother's Day, of course. And the thing that hit me about, and I was thinking about my own mom. She passed a couple of years ago or so, and a little over 2 years ago. But I was thinking just, I wanted to celebrate her life today, and who she was and some of the crazy things that not only she said as a mother, but as moms say. And some of you young women in this room, I guarantee one day will say some of these things when you become mothers. So I'm going to give you a list, and you moms out there, if you agree with this list, you can call out, and some of you sons can say, yeah, that sounds like mom. See, a buddy would never say this to you. A friend would never say this to you. Here, I'm going to give you, ready? Here it is. Don't put that in your mouth. You don't know where it's been. Matter of fact, a friend would say, put that in your mouth and see what it tastes like. It's good. Try it. Moms do like that. I don't care what everyone else is doing. I care what you're doing. How about that? My mom used to say, if everybody was going to jump off a cliff, would you just follow them over the side? Helps shaking your head like you've heard that before. If I've told you once, I've told you a... Wow, that was good. You guys got some of these notes. I didn't know. Good. When that lawnmower cuts off your toes, don't come running to me. That's, yeah. One day you'll have kids. One day you'll have kids, and I hope... Miss Lynn. Howard, I understand now. One day you'll have kids, and they'll turn out just like you, and then you'll understand. Then you'll know. Yeah. Mothers teach anticipation, don't they? This is what my mom used to say all the time. Just wait till I get you home. Just wait. Now I want to give you something else this morning. These are records for moms. I guess you'd call them records. This is one, and this is in the Guinness Book of World Records. This is one for the most kids. Her name is Miss, I want to say this right, Valisova. It's Russian, I'm sorry, okay? All right. She gave birth, watch, I can say this. She gave birth to 69 children between 1725 and 1765. I see some medical people in the room right now thinking, okay, that's 16 sets of twins, 7 sets of triplets, and 4 sets of quadruplets, okay? Now, the oldest mom, Rosanna Della Corti, gave birth to a baby boy when she was 63 years old in Italy. That happened in 1994. Now here's one. I'll probably hear a big groan on this one. Watch. Heaviest baby ever born. Ready? Was born to Signora Carmelina Fidela. She gave birth to a 22-pound... Wow, you guys are exciting. She gave birth to a 22-pound, 8-ounce boy in Italy in 1955. Let me say one thing. When I was reading these notes, I thought that lady in Russia, if her first child had been 22 pounds, that would have been the last child. You know it. Goodness gracious. Yeah. My mother had her own saying. She would say this over and over again. She'd say, "Don't make me. Don't make me," which was followed by "kill you," "take you out of the world," or her favorite one was "tell your father." And at least my mother, she would give me some kind of warning. Mothers, she was like, dads don't really warn you. They just do stuff. What hits their mind, they kind of do that to you. My mother, now, I'm not saying she wasn't tough. She was tough. And she was tough on me from time to time. But my mother was tough because of her life and how she lived it. She was young when she had me. She was 16 years old when she had me. So she was trying to figure out life. She was trying to figure out how to live and to raise a baby. She didn't always make the right decisions or the best decisions, but she did the best with what she had. There was always this strength about her and this will inside her, especially the last 25 years of her life, and I knew where that came from. She was clear about that. She said, "It's Jesus. Jesus changed my life." She said, I'm going to be praying for you, and I'm going to be praying for your brothers and sisters that all of you come to know Christ as Savior. She said, I want to see my whole family saved. And Jesus got most of us. A couple of us were still holdouts. A little over a year, I guess a year and a half before my mother passed away, she got to see me ordained as a pastor. And it was a prayer, that was a prayer answered by a gracious God who answers prayers and allowed me to be standing in front of you today. Like my bride, which is another great mother, my mother she didn't give up on me. There's something about a mother's love. It's an unconditional love. I think the love of a mother is given it gives us a glimpse of the power and how wonderful God's love is. I believe with all my heart. And that's what I want to talk about this morning. As the video said, Mom's a portrait of God's love. I wanted to give you guys something. 1 Corinthians 13, 4 through 7. If you don't have a Bible with you, there's some on the seats, and it's going to be on the screen also, or you can pull it up on your phones. It's 1 Corinthians 13, 4 through 7. This is a famous verse on love. It says, love is patient and kind. Love is not jealous or boastful or proud or rude. It does not demand its own way. It's not irritable, and it keeps no record of being wronged. Keeps no record of being wrong. Think about that. It does not rejoice about injustice, but rejoices whenever the truth wins out. Love never gives up, never loses faith. It always is hopeful and endures through every circumstance. When it comes to the Bible's most well-known verse on love, mothers are a beautiful and great example of the high calling of the love that is described here. As a matter of fact, one of the reasons I believe God created mothers was to give us an earthly example of His heavenly love for us. Each stage of motherhood reveals an aspect of God's love. Each stage. I want to talk to you about that this morning. When God put this on my heart, it kind of clearly, it's began to make sense to me. So I want you to listen to the breakdown this morning. If you look at, and I'm going to start here where it all starts, the pregnancy. Even in the womb, the mother loves her baby. She knows every move the child makes. She knows when you're awake. She knows when you're playing, when you're moving around. I remember when April was pregnant, she used to say, "Come here and look," and it'd either be Jake or Aaron that they would push on her stomach, and you could see their little foot or something pushing out, and she'd say, "That they're killing me right now." So, but she'd always bring me in, but she knew what was going on. And this reminds me of how intimately God knows us. Psalms 139, 1 through 5 says this, "O Lord, you have searched me, and you know me. You know when I sit and when I rise, you perceive my thoughts from afar. You discern my going out and my lying down. You're familiar with all my ways. Before a word is on my tongue, Lord, you know it completely. You hem me in behind and before. You have laid your hand upon me. You've laid your hand upon me, your righteous hand." David goes on to say in verse 13, "For you have created," listen, "created my innermost being. You knit me together in my mother's womb." What about that connection? God through mother to child. Let's go a little further. Let's look at the delivery. Now think how a mother puts her baby's needs ahead of her own needs there. I talked to one of my sisters in Christ about this yesterday, and I wasn't sure how I was going to say it. I read a story this last week, and I won't go into the whole details, but a young woman was diagnosed with cancer, and they suggested chemotherapy, but she knew what the chemotherapy would do to the child, and she wouldn't take it. And near the end of her pregnancy, or close to the end of her pregnancy, they said, "Well, we can try to take the child now. This would give you, if we take the child now, this would give you, if you take chemotherapy, you'll have a year, maybe, that you can live." She wouldn't do it. She wouldn't do it. It was more important to her to see that life, that precious life born into the world. I think of that, and a mother is willing to go through great pain to see her child face to face. When that hit me, I thought the same is true of Jesus, who endured great pain on the cross so that one day we could see Him face to face. go a little further. Listen to this verse. This is John 3:16. For God so loved the world that He gave His one and only Son, that whoever believes in Him should not perish, but have eternal life. Look at the comparison here. Willing to do what it takes, willing to pay the price to see a new life again, a new birth. What about the nurturing part of the child? What about that? Think of a mother feeding her baby. It's just the two of them. The mother's telling her child how much she loves them, and the child's looking up into the mother's eyes and with complete love and trust. A mother cares for her baby's every need. It reminds me of God in our lives, how He is feeding us His Word, His truth. Through that we can picture our Heavenly Father. I want you to think of this, holding us, telling us how much He loves us. Because if we look, He is evident in our lives. He's around us. He provides everything that we need. And at the same time, we can look to God with eyes of faith and obedient love. Psalms 95:6-7 says it this way: Come, let us bow down and worship. Let us kneel before the Lord our Maker. For He is our God, and we are the people of His pasture, the flock under His care. Do you hear His voice in your life? Do you know how much you're loved? More than your mother could ever love you. It's hard to imagine, isn't it? How about this? How about this part of it? Ready? How about the raising of the child? This is where the mother begins to set boundaries and rules for her child. It's the difference, it shows the difference between right and wrong. She does this to keep her child safe because she only wants the best for her child, right? But as children, as kids, as we're growing up, we don't understand this, and we think Mom's trying to take our fun away. We think she's trying to, control our life. And then one day we get older and a little wiser, and we realize she just wanted the best for us. And so it is with God. We do the same thing with Him. There's boundaries that are set for us. And like Mom, He's often, God's seen sometimes as the bad guy because people don't want to change their life because they think if I follow Christ and it's going to require these things of me and my life's going to completely change and I won't be able to do the same things. It is going to completely change for the better. You'll have peace for the very first time in your life. And like with God, we don't understand in the beginning until we get a little older and get in His Word and we realize that that's what He wants. That He has a plan for our life, and His plan is always the best plan. That's right. Hebrews 12:11 says this: No discipline seems pleasant at the time, but painful later on. Later on, however, it produces a harvest of righteousness and peace for those who have been trained by it. Everybody remembers something in their life that they were disciplined for, that their mother caught them doing, that you got in trouble for, and that she had to... Back when I was a kid, we'd say, wear you out. And you say that now, and kids look at you and go, what's that mean? Make you tired? What's that mean? No, it means wear you out. It means she'd take a belt or a switches. Who ever got switched growing up? There's some hands. Yeah. Go out and get me a switch. There's something there again, Miss Lynn. There you go. Go out and get me a switch, and you go out and try to get. And I think every kid that's done this has brought back that little one. Yeah, that's a mistake, isn't it? Goodness gracious! I'll go get the next one. She'd head out the door. Yeah, when I was a little kid. I was probably 9 years old, I guess 9 or 10 years old, and one of my buddies. I told this story one time at the river. I'm preaching. One of my buddies, he had. He's showing me these little pack of army men they used to sell in the stores. And like, I don't know if they do it now, but they have some of the stores, like the grocery stores you just walk into, there'd be a little toy section. It wouldn't be no bigger than this right here, and they'd have a little, army man and all kinds of different squirt guns and stuff like that on it. And I said, where'd you get that? And he said, let me show you what I did. And he takes me in the store and he shoves them down his pants and, and he's out the door. I'm like, okay. I could do that. And I did. And I got really good at it. I'd run in there and I'd look at stuff and I'm out the door. And I got this collection of squirt guns and Army men and all kinds of little cool stuff, you know. And I'm in the backyard one day and my mother walks up on me like mothers do. I didn't know she was there. I thought she could probably hover. I don't know how she did it. But she comes up on me and I've got all this stuff piled out. And she said, "Where'd you get that stuff?" And in my brilliance, I went, "I don't know." Because I was a great liar at 9 years old. And she said, "No, I asked you, where'd you get that stuff?" And I told her I found it, which that didn't work either. So she jerks me up off the ground, and she knew exactly where I got the stuff, and makes me collect all the stuff up, and makes me go and see my friends' mothers because they were in trouble too, and I lost 2 friends that day. And she takes me down to the store, and she spanked me from the corner that we lived on all the way to the store, which was bad enough. And then she takes me in the store and makes me admit, I still remember the guy's name of the story. His name was P.G. Moore. And P.G. was a sweet and I believe a Christian man. I was too young to know at the time, but and he made me work there for like a day. He got all the stuff back and he made me work it like 9 years because child labor laws weren't in effect then. And but he taught me a lesson now. And it always stays with me this very day. That was one of the times that Mom showed me. She taught me something. She taught me I was accountable for the things that I did. And I didn't steal any more toys. That was that. I was done. How about when you get grown up? How about when we're all grown up? No matter how big you get, no matter how big you think you are, you're always going to be your mother's baby. You know that, right? She'll always love you with all her heart, with that mother's love. I see some children, mothers here today, and moms are like, yeah, that's true. Here again we see a reflection of God's love. He loves you deeply, and He continually loves you, and He wants the best for you. And here's the thing, with God, He's going to love you like that if you belong to Him throughout eternity. You'll never grow out of His love, just like you can never grow out of your mother's love. Jeremiah 31:3 says this, "The Lord appeared to us in the past saying," and listen to this, "I have loved you with an everlasting love. I have drawn you with unfailing kindness." This is a powerful, nurturing love. Mothers are designed by God to nurture. There is just no greater nurturing power on the planet, I believe with all my heart, than what comes from a mother's love. When the Apostle Paul was describing his love for the church at Thessalonica, he used the metaphor of a mother's love. He described how deeply he cared for them. He reminded them that he was like a gentle mother who tenderly cared for her own children. That's in 1 Thessalonians 2:7. When God described His love for Israel, He did so with a motherhood metaphor. He told Israel that He would comfort them like a mother comforts her children. Like a mother comforts her children, Isaiah 66. And He's doing that for us to this very day, comforting us. It's a promise we can rely on. It's a promise that because we need promises from God. In this time, in this world we live in right now, and this crazy election system and all this stuff that's going on around us. I talked to a brother this morning, and sometimes we just get tired, don't we? We just find ourselves tired of all the stuff. We live in a day when there's too little love around us. We need to ask God to give us a higher sense of who we are in His love. And for those who feel helpless and rejected and broken right now in this world, we need to pray for a new hope, a new realization of the amazing God that we really have and who He can be in our lives. And what His love really looks like in our lives. We need to thank God for revealing His nature through the love of mothers and pray He gives us eyes to see and hearts to respond. We need to claim God's promise when He said in Isaiah 66:13, "As a mother comforts her child, so I will comfort you." His promises are eternal. We need to remember that. We need to remember that there's a power greater than anything we know around us. There's anything in this world, anything that the world would throw at us, and it is the power of God. His power will prevail over all things throughout all time. And we need to take a lesson from what God has designed mothers to do, because He designed them to love unconditionally. That would be my challenge to you this week as we move forward, is to go out and love unconditionally. That's hard, isn't it? I mean, really, that's not easy to do. I know what I'm asking of you, because I can't do it. Sometimes I have to pray when I see somebody sometimes. But here, what I'm saying to you is that you have to forget the moment we have a thought about somebody, and there's always times that we can be warned and things, but most of the time when we just have these preconceived notions of people. We need to love people where we find them and not try to make them to what we think they should be. God will do that. That's in His plan. That's in His promise also. Paul said that before. He said, he said, I plant the seed and Apollos waters it, but God does the growing. We need to meet people where they're at and when they're going through situations, and love them there unconditionally. And cancel the thoughts that we think sometimes. Because that's what messes us up. If we allow, just for a moment, we can allow Satan to get in our heads and say, well, this person's this way, or this person's this way, or that. No. We just need to love people unconditionally where we find them. And we find that example in a mother's love. Because no matter, I can tell you guys something, I guarantee this, because my mother put up with a lot of stuff. But no matter what I did, she still loved me. I remember my mother coming to a jail many, many years ago when I was just a young man, brokenhearted because her son had made this terrible mistake. But she was there. And she loved me. And she said, I'm here. Nobody else came. Nobody. Most of you in this room know that love and what that feels like. I'm not saying everybody messes up. I'm not saying everybody's messed up like I did. I'm just saying that there's times when we've had our mother in our life that she has made a huge difference, that she was there for us and she was showing that unconditional love. So I want to give you something this morning. I want what I want to say this morning is to those of you that just like myself, your mother has passed. I realize that Mother's Day is hard. It's not easy. I know that. If your mom has passed, and this day can be filled with some sadness, I encourage you to do something in your mother's memory. Share a memory of your mom with somebody. Think of a moment that she was smiling. Think of a moment when she was happy. And when I think of my mother, somebody did a video of her. This was literally about a month or so, not even a month before she passed. And she's driving down the road in the car. Now let me say something to you guys. She was a terrible driver. And oh really? That's not funny. If you was out there with her, you wouldn't think it was funny. She was a terrible driver, and April and I had this class there in Cookville that you could put somebody through. You give them like $300 or $400, which was well worth it, because I didn't have to teach her. And so you could give this money to, and they would take them through the driving course, and they would take them through the testing and all that stuff, and she would get her license. Now watch this. She didn't get her license till she was over 50 years old. Yeah, that's scary, isn't it? Okay, she couldn't drive a shopping cart, and we put her in a car. She had this. But here she in this video, and she's driving down the road, and she's dancing in her car seat, and she's laughing, and she's singing a song. And you know that song, Happy? Some of you hearing it right now. Happy. Okay. Anyway, she was singing this song, Happy, in the car going down the road, bouncing and driving and stuff. And I watched her, and I'm thinking, where's she going, and what side of the road is she on? Because she made it to her driveway. She did. She made it to her driveway, and Dad bought her a new car about a couple of years before she passed away, and she would literally back up and hit the bush in her driveway. She would literally, the vehicle she had 5 or 6 wrecks that I know of. So one time, I get a call from what that used to be the secretary at the river office, and we were at they were above Gunnell Florist there in Cookeville, and they give me a call and they said, your mother's just had a car accident. And I said, oh, is she all right? And they said, oh, she's fine, John, she's fine. She hit somebody. I said, well, that's about right. So I go down to where and she's just right down from the church office. So I go down there and I see her, and I look at her, and I'm just worried. I'm like, Mom, are you all right? And I said, what do you, what'd you do? And she said, why are you blaming me for it? I was a good son. I was trying not to be, I was like, Mom, I'm sorry. I was just trying to. And she looked over at the guy and she said, it's not my fault. He's blind. In her defense, he did really have thick glasses on. So, anyway, no. But I remember the look on her face, and I remember her smile. That's what I remember about her. And that's what I take in my heart today and hang on to. And for those, I just want to say, for those of you this morning that still have your mother with you, this Mother's Day, I hope you take the time to say thank you to your mother in a special way. No, she isn't perfect. No, she doesn't make all the right decisions sometimes, but she gave you life. And she's like most mothers, she sacrificed for you what she could to prepare you to be a loving, caring person. Be that for her today. And to all you mothers here this morning, I just want to say thank you for all you've done and all that you're doing to prepare children to be good men and women, godly men and women. Because our world cannot do it without you and the love that you provide. Thank you, mothers, for all you do today. On behalf of the River Sparta and myself, I just want to say to each mother here, Happy Mother's Day. As the praise team comes forward, we're going to have a time of offering. If you're a regular attender here at the River Sparta, give with a heart of joy because so much more has been given for you. If this is your first time here today, I just want to say, as Kyle said earlier, fill out your connection card. We, as all churches should be, we're a praying church. But we mean that. So let us know how we can pray for you. Let us know how we can lift you up in prayer this week. Again, mothers, thank you so much for all you do. Happy Mother's Day.